There are two kinds of pain in this life: the sharp, temporary sting of discipline and failure, and the dull, persistent, heavy ache of regret. One hurts and then heals, leaving you stronger. The other poisons a lifetime. The Stoics understood that we should not fear failure. We should fear arriving at the end of our days having never truly tried. Fear failure, fear not trying. Stoic Action, Fearless Life, compiled and published by Stoic Ruler. Lesson 1. The Illusion of Permanent Failure. Imagine a master artist creating a vast, complex painting. In the course of their work, they make a misplaced brushstroke. It is dark, awkward, and not what they intended. In that moment, the artist could recoil in horror, seeing that single stroke as a permanent, ruinous stain upon the entire canvas. This is how we view failure. The inner conflict is our tendency to see a single setback not as a component of a larger picture, but as the final, defining image of our worth. The problem is that this fear of making a permanent mark, of being branded by a single event, is so powerful that it paralyzes us. We become terrified to even pick up the brush, lest we create an imperfect stroke. The pain is a life spent staring at a blank canvas, a life devoid of color, texture, and meaning, all for the fear of a single flawed mark. The transformative solution is to adopt the perspective of the master artist, who knows that the painting is not finished. It is to understand the profound illusion of permanent failure. The core Stoic idea is that events themselves are just events. Failure is not a brand burned into your soul. It is simply a data point. It is information. It's a brushstroke that adds depth, teaches contrast, and informs where the next stroke should go. To the Stoic, there is no such thing as a permanent failure in character, only a temporary failure in strategy. The canvas of your life is vast, and you can always paint over, integrate, or learn from a single misplaced stroke. To begin dissolving this illusion, you must practice the art of linguistic precision with your own thoughts. When you experience a setback, you must catch the automatic, catastrophic thought, "I am a failure." You must consciously replace it with the more accurate and less damning statement, "I experienced a failure." This is not a mere word game. It is a profound psychological shift. It separates your identity, your unchanging core, from the transient event. You are the artist, not the single brushstroke. This practice creates a space between your sense of self and the outcome of your actions, allowing you to learn from the event without being crushed by it. The benefit of this practice is a newfound willingness to take creative and professional risks. You will begin to see trying and failing not as a threat to your identity, but as an essential part of the artistic process of living. The positive transformation is from being a terrified perfectionist, staring at a blank canvas, to becoming a resilient and prolific artist, willing to make messes in the service of creating a masterpiece. Your call to action is to reflect on a past failure. Consciously practice reframing it in your mind. See it not as a final verdict, but as one interesting, educational brushstroke on the vast canvas of your life. This is the continuous journey of seeing your life as a work in progress. The illusion of permanent failure is a powerful deterrent, but the Stoics teach that there is a far more painful and permanent experience we should fear. Our next lesson explores why the pain of regret is infinitely worse than the pain of any risk. To continue this journey, be sure to subscribe to Stoic Ruler and like this video if you are ready to pick up your brush. Lesson 2. Why regret hurts more than risk. Imagine yourself at the end of a long and full life, standing before two doors. The first door is labeled "Risks I Took." When you open it, you see a room filled with scars, a few trophies, some tears, and many rich stories. It is a room of texture, of lessons learned, of a life fully engaged. The second door is labeled "Opportunities I Missed." When you open it, you find a vast, pristine, silent, and empty room. There are no scars, but there are no stories either. There is only the profound, echoing silence of what might have been. The inner conflict that defines our lives is the constant battle between the sharp, immediate fear of opening the first door and the dull, distant, and often ignored fear of ending up in the second. The problem is that our brains are wired to avoid immediate, tangible threats. The sharp sting of potential failure or embarrassment feels far more real than the chronic, ghostly ache of future regret. We consistently choose the seemingly safer path of inaction, not realizing we are trading a temporary discomfort for a permanent emptiness. The transformative solution is to make the future real. It is the Stoic practice of vividly and proactively contemplating the pain of regret, bringing that future ache into the present moment so that it can compete with the immediate fear of risk. The core idea is that the greatest risk is not failure, but a life unlived. Seneca wrote that we are not given a short life, but we make it short by wasting it on trivialities and inaction. To the Stoic, the true failure is to arrive at the end with a heart full of what-ifs. By making the pain of that potential future more salient than the fear of the present, we can tip the scales in favor of courageous action. To put this powerful perspective into practice, you can use an exercise of projective introspection. When you are on the fence about taking a meaningful risk, starting a business, having a difficult conversation, pursuing a creative passion, project yourself forward in time. Imagine you are 80 years old, looking back on this exact moment. From that vantage point, which decision would you regret more? Would you regret the sting of having tried and failed, or the haunting emptiness of never having known what could have happened? Ask that older, wiser version of yourself for advice. Almost universally, the answer will be a resounding try. The benefit of this practice is a radical reordering of your priorities. The fear of failure begins to shrink, and the fear of inaction begins to grow. The positive transformation is from being a person driven by the avoidance of short-term discomfort to becoming a person guided by the pursuit of a long-term life free of regret. You start making choices not for the person you are today, but for the person you want to have been. Your motivational exercise is to apply this to a current dilemma in your life. Close your eyes, travel to the future, and ask your older self for guidance. Listen to the answer. This is the continuous journey of living a life your future self will thank you for. To act in the face of risk, we must be able to think clearly when it matters most. Our next lesson explores how to find Stoic clarity in moments of chaos. Please comment below on the advice your future self gave you, and subscribe to continue this path of fearless action. Lesson 3. Stoic clarity in chaos moments. Imagine a skilled pilot flying a commercial airliner through a sudden, violent pocket of turbulence. In the passenger cabin, chaos erupts. People are screaming, objects are flying, and fear is palpable. But in the cockpit, a different reality exists. The pilot's heart rate may be elevated, but her mind is not in chaos. Her focus narrows to the essential instruments, her hands are steady on the controls, and her training guides her every move. She has found a pocket of clarity amid the chaos. This is the inner conflict we face in a chaos moment. That critical juncture where the fear of failure creates a mental storm, blurring our vision and causing panic. The problem is that in this state of inner turbulence, our judgment is severely compromised. We are flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and our brain's executive functions go offline. In this state, we almost always default to the path of least resistance, which is inaction. We choose to stay on the ground because we are too panicked to fly the plane. The transformative solution is to become the pilot. It is to cultivate the ability to find a point of stillness and clarity even when your inner world feels like a turbulent cockpit. The core Stoic idea is that while we cannot always control the external events, the weather, we can always control our internal response, our piloting. The Stoics train to separate their initial involuntary impression of an event, the jolt of fear, from their voluntary rational assent to it. This separation creates a mental clearing, a moment of clarity that allows the pilot, not the panic, to take control. To forge this skill, you can practice the one-breath rule. This is your emergency procedure for finding clarity in a chaos moment. When you are faced with a decision that triggers a storm of fear, before you do anything, you must take one single, deliberate, slow breath. This is not a throwaway action, it is a powerful neurological intervention. As you inhale, you bring your awareness to the physical sensation of the air entering your lungs. As you exhale, you consciously release the physical tension in your shoulders and jaw. During this 3 to 5 second window, you are interrupting the panic loop. You are creating just enough space for your rational mind, your inner pilot, to get back to the controls. The benefit of this practice is the ability to make wise decisions under pressure. You will no longer be a victim of your own emotional hijacks. The positive transformation is from being a passenger thrown about by the turbulence of fear to becoming the calm, confident pilot, able to navigate any storm with grace and skill. Your call to action is to make the one-breath rule an ingrained habit. Practice it in low-stakes situations when you feel a minor frustration or annoyance, so that it becomes an automatic response when the stakes are high. This is the continuous training of a mind that can find calm in any storm. A clear mind is a powerful tool, but it must be wielded by a disciplined character. Our next lesson explores how to build that essential discipline through the practice of daily dares. Subscribe to our channel to learn how to become the pilot of your own life. Lesson 4. Building discipline through daily dares. Imagine a blacksmith forging a legendary sword from raw iron. Does he accomplish this with one swing of a giant hammer? No. The strength, resilience, and sharpness of the blade are the result of thousands upon thousands of small, consistent, deliberate taps. Each tap seems insignificant on its own, but their cumulative effect is the creation of something immensely strong. The discipline required to act in the face of failure is this sword. The inner conflict is our desire to be a disciplined person without being willing to do the daily, often tedious work of the blacksmith. We wait for a grand test of our will, hoping to summon a strength we have never bothered to build. The problem is that the discipline to overcome the fear of failure is not a quality you are born with. It is a skill you forge. Without the daily taps of the hammer, when the time comes to wield the sword, you will find you are holding nothing but soft, unformed iron. The transformative solution is to embrace the identity of the blacksmith. It is to see the virtue of discipline not as a distant goal, but as a daily practice. The core Stoic idea is that character is habit. We become what we repeatedly do. Therefore, to become a disciplined person who acts despite fear, we must repeatedly practice acting despite fear in small, manageable ways. These small actions are the hammer taps that forge the steel of our character. To put this into practice, you can create a personal regimen of daily dares. A daily dare is a small, concrete action that pushes you just to the edge of your comfort zone. It is a minor fear that you choose to face voluntarily. Your dare might be to make one phone call you have been avoiding. It might be to speak up with one idea in a meeting. It might be to send one email to a person you admire. It might be to work for just 15 minutes on that creative project that terrifies you. The task itself is less important than the act of doing it. Each completed dare is a hammer tap, a declaration to yourself that you are the kind of person who does hard things. The benefit of this practice is the development of a genuine, reliable discipline that becomes your default state. The fear of failure in large things begins to diminish because you have a long track record of overcoming fear in small things. The positive transformation is from being a person who is governed by comfort and fear to being a person who is governed by their own will. You build a character of steel, one small tap at a time. Your motivational practice is to choose your daily dare for tomorrow, right now. What is one small, uncomfortable action you will commit to taking? Write it down. This is the continuous journey of the blacksmith of the soul. One of the greatest fears that prevents action is the fear of rejection. Our next lesson teaches the Stoic art of turning this painful experience into a source of inner power. To continue forging your character, please subscribe to Stoic Ruler. Lesson 5. Turning rejections into inner power. Imagine a seasoned gold prospector working a river. He scoops up a pan full of water, gravel, and mud. With expert hands, he swirls and sifts, letting the vast majority of the contents, the worthless gravel and silt, wash away. He does this again and again, undeterred by the sheer volume of material he discards. He is not focused on the gravel. He is focused on finding the few, tiny, precious flakes of gold. He knows that sifting through the rejection of the gravel is the only path to the reward. The inner conflict we face is that we treat every piece of gravel, every rejection, every no, as a personal indictment. The problem is that when we see rejection as a verdict on our fundamental worth, the fear of it becomes unbearable. We become terrified to even dip our pan in the river, lest we come up with something other than pure gold. We fear the no so much that we never give anyone the opportunity to say yes. The transformative solution is to adopt the mindset of the prospector. It is the Stoic practice of reframing rejection not as a verdict, but as data. The core idea is that a no from the world is an external event, and therefore it has no power to harm your inner character or diminish your worth. A rejection is simply information. It might mean this isn't the right fit. It might mean try again later. It might mean you need a different approach. It might simply reflect the other person's mood or circumstances and have nothing to do with you at all. The prospector does not get angry at the gravel. He simply discards it and scoops up the next pan. To build this resilience, you can practice a mild form of what is sometimes called rejection therapy. This means deliberately and playfully seeking out a minor, inconsequential rejection. The goal is to desensitize your ego to the sting of no. For example, you could walk into a coffee shop and ask for a 10% discount. You know the answer will likely be no. When the barista politely declines, your job is to simply smile, say thank you, and pay the full price. This small, controlled experiment teaches your nervous system a profound lesson. A rejection is not a catastrophe. You survive. The world does not end. The gravel is washed away, and you are ready for the next pan. The benefit of this practice is a dramatic increase in your willingness to ask for what you want. The fear of rejection loses its emotional charge and its power over your behavior. The positive transformation is from being a person who is paralyzed by a potential no to becoming a person who sees every no as one step closer to a yes. You become a fearless prospector for opportunities. Your call to action is to try one small, safe rejection experiment this week. See for yourself that you are stronger than a simple no. This is the continuous journey of turning rejection into resilience. The ability to face rejection is a habit. In fact, all courage is a habit. Our next lesson explores this powerful idea. If you are ready to start prospecting for gold, like this video and share your thoughts below. Lesson 6. Courage is a repeatable habit. Imagine thinking that kindness is a magical quality that only a few special saints are born with. This seems absurd. We all understand that kindness is a habit. It is a series of small daily choices. Holding a door open, offering a genuine compliment, listening with patience. By repeating these actions, we become a kind person. Yet, we treat courage completely differently. We put it on a pedestal, viewing it as a rare and mystical virtue possessed only by heroes. The inner conflict is that we admire courage, but we believe it is not accessible to us. The problem with this belief is that it gives us a permanent excuse not to act. If we don't feel brave, we believe we are exempt from the requirement to do brave things. We wait for a feeling that may never come, and so we remain stuck in inaction. The transformative solution is to take courage off the pedestal and place it on your daily to-do list. It is the embrace of the profound Stoic insight that courage is not a feeling, it is a habit. It is a repeatable choice. Aristotle and the Stoics taught that we become virtuous by practicing virtuous actions. We become just by doing just things, temperate by doing temperate things, and brave by doing brave things. You are not required to feel brave, you are only required to act bravely. The feeling is irrelevant. The habit of action is everything. To cultivate the habit of courage, you can create a simple, repeatable ritual that you perform right before you face a fear. This is like a trigger for the habit. Elite athletes and performers do this all the time. Your ritual could be a physical one. Stand up tall, pull your shoulders back, and take 3 deep breaths before making a difficult phone call. It could be a mental one. Silently repeat a personal mantra, like "I choose action over fear," or a Stoic maxim, like "The obstacle is the way." The ritual itself is not magic. Its purpose is to create a well-worn neurological pathway. It is a signal to your brain that says, we have been here before. We know what to do now. It is time to execute the habit of courage. The benefit of this approach is that it makes courage accessible, practical, and reliable. It is no longer a mysterious force you have to hope for, but a dependable skill you have deliberately built. The positive transformation is from being a person who waits for fear to subside to being a person who knows how to act in the presence of fear. You build an identity based on your actions, not your emotions. Your motivational practice is to design your courage ritual today. What will be your simple, repeatable trigger for brave action? Practice it once. This is the continuous journey of making courage your default habit. This habit of courageous action is the defining feature of a life well lived. Our final lesson brings all these ideas together into the ultimate Stoic principle. Subscribe to Stoic Ruler to complete your transformation into a person of action. Lesson 7. Fearless action defines a Stoic life. Imagine life as a great Roman amphitheater. In the stands sit thousands of spectators. They are safe, comfortable, and well-fed. From their protected seats, they pass judgment on the gladiators in the arena below, critiquing their form, mocking their failures, and applauding their successes. In the arena itself, however, are the fighters. They are covered in the dust, sweat, and blood of action. They risk failure, injury, and defeat. The inner conflict that defines our entire existence is this fundamental choice. Will we be a spectator or a gladiator in the arena of our own life? The problem is that the fear of failure is the siren song of the spectator seats. It whispers to us of safety, comfort, and the freedom from being judged. And so, many of us choose to spend our lives in the stands, watching others live, commenting on a game we are too afraid to play. The pain is realizing too late that the only thing worse than failing in the arena is never having entered it at all. The transformative solution, the very heart of the Stoic ethos, is to choose the arena. It is to understand that the purpose of life is not to seek comfort or to avoid failure, but to live a life of virtuous, courageous action. The core idea is that what defines us is not what we think or what we feel, but what we do. The Stoics were not armchair philosophers. They were senators, generals, and leaders who lived in the thick of it. They believed that philosophy was a blueprint for action. The fear of failure becomes almost irrelevant when your primary goal is no longer to win in the conventional sense, but simply to be the person who dares to enter the arena and fight with virtue and integrity. To live this principle is to orient your entire life around a purpose that is greater than your own fear. It is to find a why that is so compelling it makes you willing to endure any how. This requires a deep reflection on your own values and what you believe constitutes a meaningful life. When you are acting in service of this greater purpose, whether it is raising a family, building a business, creating art, or serving your community, the fear of personal failure becomes a smaller, less significant obstacle. Your focus shifts from protecting your own ego to advancing your mission. The benefit of this commitment is a life of meaning, purpose, and profound self-respect. You will know at the end of your days that you did not sit safely in the stands. The positive transformation is the ultimate one. From being a passive critic of life to becoming its active and courageous creator, you become a gladiator of the soul. Your final and most important call to action is to answer the call of the arena. What is one area of your life where you've been sitting in the spectator seats? Today, make one small move that takes you from the stands and onto the sand. This is the continuous journey of living a life defined by fearless action. Today we have learned that the true failure is not falling down, but refusing to enter the arena. By reframing failure, embracing risk, and building the habit of daily courage, we can silence the fear that holds us back. Thank you for joining this journey to a fearless life. If these lessons have inspired you to take action, please like this video, share your first step into the arena in the comments, and subscribe to Stoic Ruler for a life of courageous action.